welcome to Roll with Chico. Today we have a special guest, Hannah Whitaker, our assistant curator at Chico. Hi Hannah, how are you?
Good, how are you, Dana?
Good, and what are you going to teach us today?
Today we're going to do basic zine making. Zines are DIY self-made little magazines, usually kind of made to disseminate information, maybe political calls, but we're going to show you a few different examples and how they can be used in the fine art, digital, and handmade ways. Here are some of the zines from my personal collection at home. These are examples of what you're going to get if you fold down a smaller sheet of paper, so this is really kind of a good way for you to think about how these work. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and this is an 11 by 17 sheet. Just keep that in mind for later. But these are both digitally made. These are kind of more traditional zines in the sense that they're calls for action or disseminating information, kind of educating about a specific topic. This zine is Welcome to the Church of Splendor, distributed by Thunderpuss. This one is an anti-capitalist zine, distributed by Halloum Press. And those are kind of traditional zines in a sense. These are zines that were made as part of an exchange in a book arts class that I took at ASU with Heather Green. This is a zine by Timothea Hayter. This is really cool because these are all watercolor paintings that were scanned, formatted into a zine structure, and then printed. So it kind of allows you to think about things that might not be able to be duplicated as multiples. Really nice work, as always, by Timothea. And I'll tag these artists in our posting. But that's cool because that's handmade but digitally produced. And so that's kind of the meld of what we have here. These are some examples of some digital zines. This one is one of my personal zines. It's kind of a collage piece, but something to think about is in the production of these, they are just folded, so you can take advantage of the insides of them being a different design, and that's something that's done really well in the zine I'm about to show you by Karen Nazario. This is a digital image. These are all printed digitally on some regular copy paper, but she backed it with this really beautiful fine art paper, and it just provides some really nice depth to it. Just another example of how far you can really take this. And last but not least, we have a woodcut zine. This is kind of an example of something that if you want to do purely handmade, pure printmaking at its core. Daniela Napolitano made this, All the Pets I've Ever Loved. It's an edition of 15 woodcut zines. Again, really beautiful work. And if you want to see more of Daniela's work, we did just have an exhibition of hers running, and it is still up on Art Steps Neighbors.
All right, Hannah, I'm ready.
Okay, so now kind of just to get into materials, what you need for this really is going to vary on how you decide you want to decorate your zine, whether you want to do it digitally, by hand, if you want to make multiples. But what we're going to show you is how to fold them, how to do the basic cut and fold structure, little hacks for folding, tips for printing and layout. So but really all you need in terms of the raw bones of a zine is paper, your choice, 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17. You can really even use non-standard sizes if you'd like. You just want to make sure that when you fold it down, it's all going to break down exactly proportional, and you'll kind of see what I mean when we get into this. But a piece of paper, Exacto knife, ruler, cutting mat or cutting on top of a surface that you're not going to care about scoring, pencil just to have on hand for marking, but that's about it.
So I'll just follow the steps.
Yeah, so our first fold is going to be to fold the page in half. And I want to kind of line it up as good as you can. I like to put it down flat on the surface and then just push back. I feel like that helps get a really nice clean fold and maintain your straight edge. So open it back up. Now fold it the other half.
Like a hot dog.
Like a hot dog. of your paper and fold them into the center crease, kind of creating some doors.
Like, do they have to touch each other in the middle?
Yeah, yeah. Completely touched. That way you have equally divided sections of paper. You want it to be divided into eighths. So now we have our sheet in eighths. We're gonna be cutting, and I'll mark it with a pencil here, the middle section. You can just cut it right along where you scored, but to make it easy for you guys to visualize, I'll put a mark to it. It's right there. It's that middle portion right along that line is where you're gonna wanna cut.
Do I mark it too?
You don't have to mark it, but go for it. I don't usually mark these, but I just wanted to make it easier for everyone to see. Cut along that line that we made. This is where a really sturdy ruler comes in handy. And just edge to edge. You don't want to cut through the whole thing. That'll sever it. You just kind of want this gap. Once we have our paper folded, you can fold it in half again.
Wait.
Yeah, hot dog style. You kind of pop open that crease that we just made to make it a diamond shape and push it in, and then fold everything to one side. It might take you a few times to get this perfect. It is really about the precision of your folding and cutting. But got a little zine. It's gonna have 1, 2, 3 spreads and a front and a back. And it's really up to you to decide how you want to go from here decorating wise. Obviously, if you were producing these digitally, you would have them printed first and then cut and fold down. Something to keep in mind when printing digitally is your bleed. So if you want it to be full sheet, that's something that you're going to need to consider when you're sending these off to get printed, and make sure that that's something that can be accommodated.
Can you display them like this?
I mean, it's really up to you, I guess, in terms of how you want it to display it as the artist. You can get really creative with the structure if you want. Traditionally, they're kind of just more of like a little book thing, but if you design something that works to be displayed as a 3D or like origami object, I don't see why not. But that's to help those of you who might want to digitally print these and make multiples. I made a few dummies that kind of show just how this layout works. That's kind of the most complicated part about the zine making, especially if you're working digitally. If you're working hand by hand, you can kind of go spread by spread and design them however you'd like, but printing digitally, you do have to think about it as a whole sheet, and your layout is essential to that. Otherwise, when you fold things, your images will be flipped and wonky and all sorts of weird ways. So just to kind of put it in your head, you have your front cover, inside spread pages 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and your back cover. Unfolded, it reads like this. And these are upside down because that's how you are going to need to format your page, right? So and I know it's kind of disorienting, but from the top of your page, it's gonna be your 6th page. So spread 5 and 6, flipped. 4 and 3, flipped. Your back cover, your front cover, and your first and second spread, flipped vertically. And I can maybe photograph it a little bit better.
Compare one of the
Okay, oh yeah, so here, I can kind of give you an example in terms of what it looks like compared to the actual zine itself, if these numbers are a little confusing. So just as in my layout here, you can see that these spreads folded out of Timotea's, when you're looking at them as a whole sheet, this is upside down, and so is this. The whole top part is upside down. But because of how the structure is folded, when you have it all put together, it reads normally. And if there's any questions about this, we're happy to kind of further reiterate, or I can provide a scan of this layout if it helps put things into perspective. But that's basic zine making. I hope you guys enjoyed our little rundown of the history. We'll include all the local artists mentioned. Thank you.